Good afternoon, I am Mr. Ish. You are joining me for a good video here on odds versus probability. We'll be looking at a bunch of questions, two in general, but each will have several parts where we compare the results in terms of odds and probability. Both of these are hot topics on any exam. Let's talk very quickly about odds. Odds are always expressed as a ratio, A and B, A to B. The number of successes to number of failures. Because odds is less common or familiar to most students, it's always good to have questions on odds and practice those concepts. Remember, number of successes, or what it is that you're looking for, versus the number of failures or the number of items which remain. You can look at it in either form. I like to look at things in terms of odds as what I'm looking for versus what remains in terms of the choices. And probability is always expressed as a fraction. You would have in the numerator the number of successes, and in the denominator you would have your total number of outcomes. So with that in mind, let's look at each of these questions. A bag has cubes numbered 1 to 10. You have to find the odds and the probability of each of these scenarios. Number larger than 6, that is, you pick up a cube and the number is larger than 6. Well, if you are going to do that, you have 4 numbers larger than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That leaves you 4 possible choices. We'll do probabilities in each case. You have 4 here out of a total selection of 10 cubes. Because there are 4 numbers larger than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your answer would be 4 out of 10, or you can simplify it as 2 out of 5. But in terms of odds, how would you express this? You have 4 possible successes, outcomes that you want, and you would do that with the number which remain. If there are 4 which fulfill what you're looking for, then there are 6 which remain in terms of the number of failures, and your answer here would be 2 to 3. You can see how these answers differ. One is 2 out of 5 in terms of probability, the other one is 2 to 3 in terms of odds in the favor of that event occurring. Alright, let's go to number B. Multiple of 2. How many numbers within 1 to 10 are multiples of 2? Let's write them out. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So what's the probability that you'll pick up a cube? It's a multiple of a 2. Well, there are 5 possible numbers which succeed or are successful for what you're doing out of 10 total cubes. And your answer in terms of probability is 5 out of 10, or 1 over 2. And that's a good answer. In terms of odds, what's the odd that you pick a number and it is a multiple of a 2? Well, there are 5 possible choices which are all successful in terms of what you're looking for, but there are 5 possible choices which remain or are unsuccessful. So your answer in terms of odds are 1 to 1. In terms of probability, it's 1 to 2. So you can see the clear distinction between probability and odds. What about an odd number? You pick up a cube and it's an odd number. Well, we got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Again, you got 5 choices. In terms of probability, you have 5 successful choices out of total 10 possible outcomes because there are 10 cubes. Your probability of picking an odd number is 1 out of 2. In terms of odds, well, again, it'll be mirroring exactly what you saw over here. There are 5 chances of picking a number right here, which is what you want, and then there are 5 options which remain, which would be your even numbers, 5 to 5 or 1 to 1. So these answers all look good to me, and that's it for question number 1. Let's go to question number 2. Last question for this video, 3 parts. We'll examine each of these again in terms of probability and odd. What's the probability that you'll pick a cube from this bag of 10 cubes, each numbered 1 through 10, that you'll pick the number 7? You know what you're looking for is a single option out of a total of 10 options, and your probability must be 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10, or 10% of the time you pick a cube that's numbered 7. How about in terms of odds? That's always expressed as a ratio of integers. You're looking for exactly 1 cube which must have a number 7. That's your chance for success, versus the number which remain is 9. 1 chance of success versus 9 chances or odds of failing, 1 to 9. That's your answer over there in terms of probability and odds. How about this? You're picking a cube, it's either a 3 or a 5. Well, when you're doing an OR, you're usually thinking about adding probabilities. If the probability of 3 and a 5 each is 1 out of 10, you can add them up. Or you can think of it in a different way. The probability of getting either a 3 or 5 are basically 2 numbers which fulfill what you're looking for, versus 10 total that have to deal with 10 possible outcomes, of which 2 are successful for you, and that's your probability of 3 or a 5. In terms of odds, there are 2 numbers which you are looking for which would be successful. That's your A. And then the items which remain, B, would be the total number remaining, 2 to 8. Or you can even say that as 1 to 4. Both of these answers over here, right, as were these ones here on the top, They're all coming out right so far, so it seems like a pretty good exercise here. What's the probability that you'll pick an 11, a cube that has a number 11 on it? You know there's no cube here within 11 because everything is 1 to 10. Therefore, your probability of picking an 11 is a 0 out of a 10. Right? The probability is non-existent that you'll pick this. And how would you express that in terms of odds? The way you express that in terms of odds is, again, you think about there's the number of successes to the number of failures. The number of successes in you picking an 11 is a 0, but the number of failures is also a 0. Why? Because there's absolutely no way you can fail this. There's absolutely no way you can succeed it because there's no cube numbered 11. Absolutely no way that you can fail this because there again is no cube numbered 11. Everything is from 1 to 10. You can say 0 to 0. That means the odds does not exist for this option over here. And with that, let's end this video. Hopefully you understand the clear distinction between odds and probability, something very important. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day. Stay tuned. Goodbye.